Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Janie's Crazy Life. I have a rant, a ramble, or a rave, whatever you want to call it. Okay. When it comes to being a vendor at a craft show, whether it be a indoor market like a mall, or it be a church bazaar, or it be a farmer's market, you guys, vendors work hard. So when they're selling their item to you, they didn't just, for the majority of them, I'm not saying 100%, they didn't just go order online from someplace overseas and pay very little for it and then stick it on their table and sell it. Now, I guess that can happen, but a lot of times, if it's handcrafted, it is handcrafted. And it is more than just making it in their craft room, hobby room, art studio, whatever you want to call it. They have taken time to make that item. And it can be something as simple as they don't have much money into their craft, or someone who takes a lot of effort and has a lot into their craft. And the reason why I am, I guess, bitching about this is I went to an event last weekend, and there was a gentleman who, it is a lot of work for him to set up his booth. I think he has health issues, and he hand carves these wooden spoons by hand, each spoon. Now, I do not recall his prices because I don't, but as I can recall from about a year ago when he was at the same event, his prices were not that expensive. Because you have to realize that when a vendor is at an event, majority of the time, I'm going to say 95% of the time, they paid to be there. There are only very few events that are free events for vendors. There's not that many of them. I only go to one every year that is free for me to go to. Every other event, I have to pay to be there. Now, sometimes it's as low as $25, or it can be as high as a couple $100. The average, I think, is anywhere from $50 to $75 to set up. And that is like just the part of it. Vendors have to go ahead of time, set up their tent, set up their table to make it pleasing for you as the patron, the customer, to walk by and go, ooh, I think I'll go in there and I'll look. Yes, if you go to some events and it looks like they just threw it on the table, you're probably at a swap meet. And even if you're not at a swap meet and somebody just threw everything on their table, if you don't like what you see, don't walk in there, but don't criticize. You know, majority of the people who work these vendings, in my opinion, are people, older people, okay? Yeah, there are some people middle-aged and up, and there are a few people younger than middle-aged that work events. You know, it might be a wife, a mother who does it part-time on the weekends to help supplement their family's income, or to do it towards Christmas time to save up Christmas money. There's many reasons why people are vendors, many reasons. Sometimes it's because, you know, it's cheaper to pay the booth rental and put your stuff out there at a nice market than to go put it in a gallery somewhere because you can't afford $1,000 a month shop. So when you walk by someone's booth and you criticize or make fun of what you see in that booth, shame on you. Because that person, whether you like it or not, they probably worked hard to make it. And the effort, because it takes time and money. And it, you know, I do paper beads, okay? I do paper beads. And I do paper jewelry. Just alone, the product that I dip my beads in, one product I dip my beads in, cost me up to $90 a gallon for the freaking liquid. And then up to $75 for the glazing liquid, a gallon. And I do paper beads, so of course it sucks it up. So I've got money into just one step of the process of making my beaded jewelry. Not to count if I buy the paper, not to count the jewelry fittings, not to count how I package it, not to count the setup. And setup, okay? To make it inviting for your butt to walk into my booth to look at it, I want to spend a little bit of money to make my booth look nice. Now, some people can be frugal and go to thrift stores or repurpose an item to use as their display. I've been very fortunate. I'm very frugal at that. And I can sew, and I'm creative, and I can set up a booth. Some people aren't creative that way. Some people have to go buy their setup, you know, whether it be for a jewelry person going and buying all the busts and stuff, and that stuff ain't cheap. Or someone who goes and buys collapsible shelves to put it up. It costs money. Everything costs money for a vendor to put up their table to try to entice you to come in and look at it. So next time you criticize a vendor, criticize what somebody makes fun of it, or says, oh, I can go and do that myself. Well, then go freaking do it yourself. But don't say something nasty to another vendor. Don't give a vendor a hard time about their craft. Don't tell them, oh, you're too expensive. If it's too expensive, then you go someplace else and you go buy it made from a big box store where they buy it from China and it don't last as long as the crafter who put their time, effort, and sweat and love and heart into the thing that they made that you think is too freaking expensive, but you'd rather go buy it from a big box store and overseas where they're... Oh, see, you can get me going on this one. This one I can rant on for hours. I'm just saying, next time you go to a craft show, take a little consideration for the vendor that they're showing you their goods and wares. Be a little more polite to the vendor. I am sick and tired of hearing people criticize vendors and everything. We don't even, as vendors, criticize each other. If we don't like what another vendor does, we're not mean and rude and nasty to them. I have never met another handcrafter vendor ever that was rude and everything. I only met one rude vendor ever, and that was when I was doing a face paint gig somewhere, and the promotion group who put on the event hired 2 face painters, and I was supposed to be the only one. And I sucked it up, and I was professional about it. It was the other face painter who was nasty to me. But we took the high road, my daughter and I, and we were not rude to them. So, I mean, because if a vendor isn't happy at an event, they're not going to go back to it. But they do not need your sorry ass being rude to them at an event. I've had it. After I listened to this old man last weekend talk about how people were putting him down as they came in to look at his spoons and stuff, how they were telling him how his prices were too high and this and that. And how there was better quality someplace else. Well, go get it someplace else. Putting someone down on their craft it doesn't make them feel good. I mean, yeah, I'm not one to go in and buy hand-sewed items from a vendor, but, you know, if I walk by, I'm gonna look and be polite, because she still spent the time hand-sewing pot holders or kitchen towels. I mean, yeah, can I get that cheap at Walmart or Dollar Tree? Yeah, but I'm not going to put the vendor down just because I know I can get it. I mean, you know you can get something cheaper someplace else, fine, but don't be rude to the vendors. Because it is a lot of work. You have to get there an hour or 2 before the event. You sit in the heat all day long, especially if you're in the southern states. You sit in the heat, you sit if the rain, you stick it out or you sit under. And then you have to clean up and put away at the end after a long hot day in the sun. So, okay, I'm sitting there as a vendor. I paid, say it's a $75 booth fee. I paid $75 to be there. I get there an hour and a half early before the event starts. Then it's a 6-hour event. I'm sitting there in the heat for 6 hours. You're walking by, and if you're nice, you'll stop in, say how nice my stuff is, pay me a compliment. I'll thank you for stopping by, and I'll tell you to have a nice day. And then after it's all said and done with, I gotta clean up, close up, pack up, and yes, it's my choice to do that, but that whole freaking 6 hours I'm there, I am not being paid by anybody. And if I did not make my booth rent, then I paid a fee to be there. And yes, it's my choice to be there and pay that fee, but I didn't make any money. If I didn't make back my booth, I didn't make any money. So remember that next time. And then I'll probably go back and do it again the next year if it's a one-time year event, or if it's a regular market, I'm going to go back and do it again to give you the opportunity to buy something that's handcrafted by someone. So just remember that next time you go to a fair, a craft show, a farmer's market, a bazaar. Just remember that those people, granted, they love to make it or they wouldn't be sharing it with you, but remember when you're rude or somebody you're with is rude, remember that that's not right. That's not right. All right, I'm going to get off here before I rant and rave anymore. I've already ranted and raved for about 10, 11 minutes. So I'm going to say, if you like what you've seen, like, subscribe. Sorry I bitched about things, but, you know, there's just so many rude people out there who walk by and be rude. I don't know who taught them to be that way. I know their grandma didn't, and hopefully their mama didn't. So, if you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, you know, tell a friend about me. If you want to see me in my next video, if I didn't irritate you enough that you never want to see me again, if I did, I'm sorry, you know, hey. But, I will see you in the next video. Remember, enjoy the craziness of life, because, when you tell a friend about it, you might laugh about it. But if I tell somebody about what happened last week to the poor old man being criticized repeatedly by some people, and it was a small market, I ain't laughing about it, because that's just downright rudeness. Alright, see you on the next video. Bye.